Hello friends, for quite some time I wanted to talk about this particular topic. More specifically, I wanted to talk about it since I have started going to a gym to keep myself fit. I found that there are a lot of similarities in bodybuilding and in management. So in this presentation, I'm going to talk a little bit more about it. Let's go ahead. Before we go ahead, I want you to take a look at this particular video. It's quite an exciting video and it's freely available on YouTube. So take a look at it. Once you have done that, come back to this presentation. You can pause this presentation till then. Alright, I am assuming that you have looked at the video and you must have seen Arnold Schwarzenegger working out in the gym, and I'm sure you are as amazed to see his physique as I was. Keeping that in the perspective, let's now go ahead and take a look at our presentation today. So in this presentation, I'm going to talk something about bodybuilding, of course. I'm going to explain some of the key terms and concepts. I'm going to draw upon some parallels between management and bodybuilding. I'm going to give you some thoughts or some things that you may want to try out on your own, maybe with your team members. Finally, I give you my coordinates so that you can send your questions to me and I'll be able to answer them if possible. So, let's go ahead with the session. First of all, let's try and understand that there are different types of bodies. Different bodies make it challenging or easy to develop different parts of bodies. An ectomorph is far more thinner than a mesomorph, and the endomorph has got a much bigger frame and structure as compared to the mesomorph as well as the ectomorph. I'm sure you have seen a lot of athletes. Though they have got tremendous stamina, they may not really develop huge muscles at any point of time. Most of the athletes are actually ectomorphic or mesomorphic. In fact, I get the feeling that it would be extremely difficult to find an endomorphic athlete or even a bodybuilder for that matter in India, because genetically our frames are somewhat smaller. So you see some examples here. Now, depending on what type of body you have inherited, you may have to work on different types of exercises to develop different body parts. We'll talk a little bit about that as we go ahead. I've listed a few muscle groups here. By no means this list is exhaustive. This is just to give you some idea that what others call as a muscle actually is a muscle group. For example, arms would have deltoids, biceps, triceps and so on. Back would have trapezius, obliques and so on. Legs would have quadriceps, hamstrings, calves and so on. So when you train a muscle, you actually train different muscles in the muscle group through different exercises. It's logical to train some of the muscle groups together. Characteristics of different muscle groups. Strength is of course something that we all know about. So you could have extremely strong muscles or weak muscles. Volume of the muscle. Some muscles tend to be bigger as compared to others. Typically, the muscles of your thighs will be bigger than the muscles of your arms. Muscle density, and here we are referring to the number of muscle fibers that are packed into a muscle. Typically, muscles would work in groups. They in fact have relationships with each other. For example, back is related to biceps. So if you want to train the back or the muscles of the back, you will end up using and even training biceps to a great extent. Or if you want to train the muscles of the chest, you will end up using your shoulders to a great extent. This being the reason, when the exercise patterns are drawn out or the exercise schedules are made, they pay attention to the muscle groups which are trained together, and based on that the schedule is determined. Not just the schedule, but even the sequence of exercises is determined based on these relationships. Motion types. Typically we stretch the muscle, or we compress the muscle, or we even bend the muscle. We may twist some of the muscles if required. Let's talk about some of the typical terms used in bodybuilding. A muscle is actually made up of tissue, and the tissue has got fibers. Before you start doing your workout, you obviously need to do some sort of a warm-up exercise. Otherwise, your muscles would be rigid when you train them, and this probably is going to do a lot more harm than good to the muscle that you are training. Form. Correct form of an exercise is the proper action of the exercise, thus getting you the required results by stretching or bending or compressing the right type of muscle, or the muscle that you are interested in training at that point of time. You use a wrong form and you may realize that instead of training a particular muscle, now you are probably training some other muscle, and the required results may not come out. Range. Range is the complete movement of an exercise from end to end. So typically if I am lifting a bicep, I beg your pardon. So typically if I am working on my bicep and I am holding a dumbbell in my hand, I'll probably lift it up and then let it go down, again lift it up all the way. If I don't use the proper range, or I don't do the complete movement, I may not train the muscle properly. Poundage. Poundage simply means the amount of weight that you are using for the exercise. Higher the weight that you are using, higher is said to be your poundage. Repetitions, or reps as they are more popularly called, is the number of times you do a particular exercise to make a set, which is the next term. So a set is a number of repetitions put together. You may have different types of sets. So I may have a set with only 10 repetitions, or I may even have a set with as many as 30 or more repetitions. Typically, we do an exercise in multiple sets, each having a number of repetitions of its own. Intensity. Intensity is the inner force with which you are doing the exercise. Intensity does not refer only to the effort that your muscle is doing. Intensity is the inner force with which you are doing your workout. Needless to say, higher the intensity, more will be your poundage and more will be the effort, leading to a better result. When you work on a muscle, you actually lead it to fatigue. Your muscle simply becomes tired when you use it again and again with more and more weights. When the muscle develops fatigue, you actually take a gap. Now during this gap, or during this time period of a small rest, as you may want to call it, the muscle actually recovers from the state of fatigue and it's ready to be used again. Typically, you will probably do multiple sets in such a way that it should lead you to muscle breakdown. Muscle breakdown means you cannot use that muscle again, even after giving it a couple of minutes or a few minutes of gap. All the bodybuilders and weightlifters train to the limit of breakdown. We are going to talk a bit more detail about the breakdown in the subsequent slides. Cool down. Just like you have a warm-up before you do the exercise, you also have a period of cool down. During this time period, you allow your muscles to rest. You may simply lie down on the floor in what we call as a shavasana, thus relaxing all the muscles of your body. During this cool down period, your heart rate comes back to the normal rate. Your muscles tend to relax a bit, and so do your nerves. A cooling down is as mandatory after an exercise as the warm-up is before the exercise. Typically, when you train the muscle to the extent of breakdown, that particular muscle or muscle group becomes sour afterwards. This may happen the same day evening or the next day morning, and to some extent maybe even the subsequent day. This indicates that you have used your muscle to its fullest capability. After you have pushed yourself and your muscles to the stage of breakdown, and when your muscles become sour, you'll need to give them rest. It's not recommended that you do all the exercises every day all over again. This is because when the muscle is resting, that is when it is also growing. So the growth of the muscle actually happens during the rest period. Some of the characteristics of human body, as you can see here, I have put 3 different pictures. In the first picture on the top right corner, you can see a bodybuilder lifting huge amount of weight. Therein, you can notice the strength of his muscles. In the picture on the bottom right corner, you see a girl performing gymnastics, and the flexibility of her body is evident. On the bottom left, you of course see one of the most successful pair of Indian cricket, which is Sachin Tendulkar and Rahul Dravid. Both of them known for staying on the cricket crease for a long time. Something that needs endurance. These are three different characteristics of the muscle. Probably the bodybuilder that you see here, who has got evidently extremely strong body, will not be as flexible as the girl that you see there performing the gymnastics. And definitely neither this girl nor this bodybuilder would have the endurance of playing cricket in the heat of the sun for 1 or 2 days at a stretch. Now, typically it would be very difficult to get all these characteristics in the same body or the same muscle. Yes, in other words, I am trying to say that a muscle which is strong may not really be the most flexible muscle. Let's go ahead. Well, I did mention this earlier that breakdown leads to growth. Training within the elastic limit allows your muscle to recover, just like you stretch a rubber band and then let it go. When you do that, the rubber band comes back to its original shape and size. This is what we call as the limit of elasticity. If you actually want your muscle to grow, then you'll have to train it beyond the elastic limit. Training beyond the elastic limit leads to breakdown. As you can see from the face of the person here, it's obviously not easy. It's simply said than done. So while you are training your body beyond the elastic limit, it's essential that you do it gradually and you do it systematically and in steps. You may even perhaps need somebody to monitor you as you are doing it. This is to ensure that you do not end up doing a permanent long-term injury to your muscle or your body. Going beyond the elastic limit will cause enough fatigue to lead to a breakdown. This is going to lead to a sour muscle, as we discussed earlier, and that's something that's going to lead to growth. If you think that this is going to demand too much of commitment, don't worry. You may have to persuade yourself only initially. Once you start enjoying it, you probably won't let it go. You will probably be hooked onto it very, very much. To a great extent, you'll start enjoying it. In fact, if you miss, you'll probably even start missing it and become restless that you did not work out on that particular day. Well, the simple fact that when discipline does not work, habit does. So get habituated to working out regularly, and then it will only become your second nature. Continuing our discussion of the unique concepts. So habit is something that your muscles will develop when you train them. Slowly and gradually the muscles get habituated to a particular type of movement that you are doing. Thereafter, simply increasing the weight may not give you the results that you want. So you may even be required to change the type of exercise. Keep on changing the exercise patterns just to get the muscle out of its habit and start training itself again. You'll need to push yourself beyond your limit. When you change your exercise and push your muscle actually is surprised. Your muscle would probably start expecting a particular type of movement, but when you change the exercise, now the muscle has to suddenly wake up and perform the actions that you want it to. So an element of surprise will help you to get the muscle out of the habit mode and start working again. Cheating is a very unique concept. Typically, we think that cheating is bad. In bodybuilding, when we train our muscle to an extent of breakdown, sometimes we still want to continue and have, let's say, 2 more reps or 3 more reps or repetitions. What do we do in such cases? Well, we do a little bit of cheating. What does that mean? It means that if 100% movement is expected out of me, I'll probably cheat 30% of it and then do the remaining 70%. Though this may seem odd, there is a definite additional advantage in this, which is if I had not cheated, I would not have got those 3 reps in any case. So by cheating a little bit, I'm actually helping my muscle to train more. A superset. I mentioned earlier that a set is a number of repetitions put together. In a superset, the number of repetitions are more, typically double than a regular set. So if your regular set is that of 15 repetitions, your superset could be 30 repetitions or more. There are different approaches or strategies in bodybuilding, and some of the builders who train for extreme fitness or train for bodybuilding competitions typically include a superset in their workout. Rest. We have talked about this earlier, but I have included this point here once again to emphasize on the importance of taking rest after the exercise. Without the rest, your body or your muscle will not recover. Not only that, it will not even grow. So rest is mandatory. If I have given you a feeling so far that only with exercise and the rest your body will grow, I couldn't have been far from reality. With all the efforts that you do, with all the exercise that you do, with all the breakdown of muscle that you are going to cause, your muscle still will not grow unless you feed it with the nutrients that it needs to grow. So without proper diet, you may actually have a negative impact and you may end up damaging your muscles and your entire body. We all know that food supplies energy. Food also provides supplements which are ingredients for growth. They even go to the extent of saying that 25% of the body is built in the gym and the remaining 75% is built in the kitchen. Eating junk food will simply not do, and you will have to be extremely careful about what you are eating if you are serious about your training and developing muscles. So make sure you have the right kind of nutrients along with the right exercise pattern that you are following. Well, we did talk about bodybuilding and various key terms related to bodybuilding. Let's see if we can apply those terms to our field or our work as technical writers. You can look at the points on this slide as questions or maybe as hints. So, you are a technical writer. What can you define as your range? Is it the number of tools that you can work with? Is it the number of hours that you can work for continuously? Or is it something else? What can you define as reps? Maybe think of it as how many pages you are able to write per day or per hour or per month. Do you know what is your fatigue level? Moreover, do you know what are the symptoms of your fatigue level and how can you increase it? Find out what's your poundage, infinite, limited or one time. What do I mean when I say infinite? Well, if you give me a dumbbell of 1 pound, I may be able to do at least a few hundred repetitions with that dumbbell. I'll probably call that as infinite poundage. If you give me a 10-pound dumbbell, I'll probably be able to do something like 40 or 50 repetitions. If you give me a 60-pound dumbbell, I'll probably be able to lift it only once. Weightlifting is, in a way, using the weight that gives you a 1 repetition, or it's a one-time poundage that you use in weightlifting. You must have noticed, I'm sure, that during weightlifting competitions, once they try to lift a weight, if they can't, they go back, take some rest and come back again. They'll never ever try to lift it immediately after the first attempt. So, what is the amount of work that you can do? Where is your comfort level? What is the amount of work that you can do only once but not every day? What is the amount of work that you can fairly keep on doing every day? And what is the amount of work that you can do almost any day? Are you strong? Are you flexible? And how do you measure your strength as a technical writer? What are the parameters? What are the parameters of measuring your flexibility? And how can you measure your endurance? If the project is really tough, how long will you endure? Will it be 10 days, 20 days, 1 month, 2 months? How much of your capacity do you actually use? So if your capacity is 100%, are you using just 25 or 30%? Or are you using pretty much 85 to 90%. What is your limit? How often do you cross your limit? Have you ever crossed your limit? As per bodybuilding, unless you go to breakdown, there will not be growth. Do you always avoid crossing your limit? Because in that case, you'll probably not grow as much. Definitely not to the potential that you can. While you evaluate yourself, also think about your team members. Remember a few things though. We did talk about strength, flexibility and endurance. It's almost impossible to have maximum strength, maximum flexibility and maximum endurance in the same person. If you expect that, your expectations are probably unrealistic. Do you know what is the fatigue level of your team members? Do you know what is the breakdown limit of each of your team members? And do they get pushed beyond that limit very often? If you are pushing them or their daily schedule, the deadlines are pushing them beyond their limit, yes, they will grow. But also remember, after the breakdown, we need to have rest. During the rest, you will see the signs of soreness. What are their signs of soreness? You know a sore muscle because it pains. Have you tried to observe the soreness in your team members when they are made to cross their limit and maybe when they encountered a breakdown? To build a proper body, you obviously need to have proper professional equipment and resources. While you are pushing your team members and you want them to deliver the best, are you really giving them the equipment that they need? Or are you giving them mediocre equipment and resources but expecting the best possible performance? After they have reached or crossed their breakdown limit, are you giving them enough recovery time, enough rest? This is a time that they are going to be sore. If you do not give them enough rest time, they are going to be burnt out. Remember, some members need challenges to perform to the best of their potential. Are you giving them enough challenges to do that? This is one of the most interesting slides of my presentation. You can see Arnold and Franco. Franco is Arnold's partner, a gym partner, who also happens to be a professional bodybuilder. Franco was also Mr. Universe and Mr. Olympia in his weight category. Arnold and Franco were gym partners. Well, you must have seen my photograph with my gym partner as well. His name is Prashant. And if I have been able to continue for 4 years of regular training, the credit should go to my partner. A partner is somebody who pushes you. A partner is somebody who tries to maintain continuity in your exercise. A partner is somebody who observes your signs of fatigue and asks you to stop. A partner is somebody who notices the scope for growth and pushes you to the best of your abilities. Without a partner, bodybuilding seems almost impossible, even at the professional level. I must add one point here, which is something that I have observed. There are other members in my gym as well. Many of them have gone in for what is called as personal training package. And they pay a lot of money for the trainers, mostly on a per session basis. Well, just by ensuring that we do training regularly and we always do it together, both me and my partner are saving huge amount of money. Needless to say that we have also become good personal friends, and sometimes do also take a break for that occasional coffee or beer. Alright, so once again, some of the things for you to do. Think of your team, your entire team as your body, and try to train the entire body. Remember, every member of the team is a muscle in your body, and every member is as important as every muscle of your body is. Try and identify the different characteristics of your team members, things that make them unique, their strong areas, their weak areas, how can they complement each other. Search for pairs, and if you find proper pairs, try to make them partners. Oftentimes I have noticed that when people work in pairs, they really grow very fast because they complement each other and even give each other suggestions for improvement. Practically, it's not possible for a manager to keep on observing every member of his team all the time. Well, a partner can fill up that gap to a great extent. When you identify their different skills and their different roles in the team, also try and identify their different needs of training. One member could be a technology geek, while somebody else would probably be more biased towards language and writing. So find out what they are interested in and try to give it to them. Push them out of their comfort zone. My suggestion is push them slightly beyond their limit. In my limited experience, I have realized that their own notions of their limit are generally wrong. But then, how would you know what their limit is? Well, keep on pushing them till the time you see the signs of breakdown. However, do this systematically and regularly and keep on observing for signs of breakdown. As we have talked about, it's important that when you push somebody to the level of breakdown, rest becomes mandatory. So give them enough resting time if you are pushing them to the extent of breakdown. Taking them to the limit of breakdown day after day, week after week is obviously going to lead to burnout. And you may end up losing your team members before you realize. Only salary is not sufficient. Give them all the nutrients for growth to develop them as technical writers. Give them good thoughts, a competitive environment, a whole lot of activities, exercises, training, and of course give them challenges. Keep them busy all the time. Set their mind to the job in hand and keep them working. When I enter the gym in the morning, I know that I have got a routine of 16 to 20 exercises to be performed on that day. That too, maybe every exercise getting into 2 or 3 repetitions of different weights, carefully arranged one after the other. And I have to do all this in about 1 hour 20 minutes. When that is already set in my mind, I tend to go ahead with my exercises, with my gaps and everything in such a way that I end up doing it properly and systematically within the given time limit. So when your team is working, give them a realistic idea of how much time do they have. What are the activities that you expect them to complete? What are the resources that are being made available to them? Set their mind to the activities and the expected outcome or the objective. When the mind is set, the body will follow. It's very important that you show them the growth. Show them how they can access themselves and see their own growth. Everyone does a lot of negative thinking. And the best way to counter that is to show them their positive side. Remember, people are motivated by their own growth more than that of others. Let them realize that the effort they have taken to learn a tool is now paying off. Or the night that they were sitting late and delivering a document has really improved their throughput. The number of documents that they have reviewed and published has increased their confidence. Show them how their abilities have grown in every direction possible. That's going to motivate them a lot more than all the salary that you can pay. Well, can I say that everything in bodybuilding can be compared to everything in management? Definitely not. So I have listed a few differences here and there are many more. In management, breakdown can lead to issues. We talked about surprising the muscle. In a team, not everyone is prepared for surprises. In bodybuilding, we use cheating to go beyond our limit and have those additional 3 repetitions of the workout. Somehow, in management terminology, cheating is considered to be negative. And if people do not really understand the crux of that concept, they may set their mind against it. One thing is very obvious, that not everyone can be paired. So if you are looking for partners, make sure that these people are at comparable levels. Partnership is always between equals. Don't make 2 people working at extreme levels of competency each other's partners. Yes, perhaps you can think of a mentee and mentor relationship in that case. In the gym, when people are not comfortable or when they tax themselves too much or when they come and join the gym out of enthusiasm, but when they realize the routine is going to be tedious, there are a whole lot of dropouts. In management, these dropouts will have to be considered and accommodated in some way. This is something that may not really happen in a gym. So, as I mentioned earlier, there are a whole lot of differences in management and bodybuilding. Finally, before I end this slide or this presentation, I wanted to give you this idea. जहाँ शक्ति होती है वहाँ शांति भी होती है, और where there is power there is also peace. Develop the power, develop the शक्ति. अपने आप को इतना शक्तिशाली बनाइए. Develop the kind of power that the peace should follow. I have often seen people who do not realize the importance of a disciplined workout. And I must confess here that I was, or to a great extent even now, I am one of them. We keep on doing things somehow, managing it somehow, almost every day pushing ourselves to our limit, and then not giving enough rest. But then doing the whole thing in such a haphazard manner that the only thing we gain is stress. If you systematically work on it, you would develop the strength that can easily manage the stress when it arises. And this could not have been depicted better than using a picture of Lord Hanuman, the Superman of India. As it is being said, he is a Chiranjeev, the one who never dies. He is still there, and because of all the strength that he has, he is at peace. If you want to do your work, enjoy it. But for that, develop your strength to such an extent that it gets done with confidence, without causing any harm to your body. Strength should be there to stay, not the stress. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have, or you feel like sharing your experiences. Please feel free to write to me. Here are my coordinates. So that's my cell number, that's my email ID, and those are the sites that I have referred some of the content from, and I have taken some of the images used in this particular presentation. I am grateful to you that you thought of taking a look at this particular presentation, which is a little bit of offbeat kind of topic when it comes to management. I sincerely hope that you have got some new ideas to think about, and you'll work on them very soon. Good luck.